The wealth gap and income inequality refer to the unequal distribution of financial resources among individuals within a society, often due to differences in wages, salaries, and other sources of income. So, a little bit of historical context. The Industrial Revolution in the late 18th century marked a significant shift in economies from agrarian to industrialized. While it did lead to economic growth and technological advancements, it also widened income inequality as wealthy industrialists such as J.P. Morgan, Cornelius Vanderbilt, John D. Rockefeller, and Andrew Carnegie accumulated great fortunes while workers faced low wages and poor working conditions, widening the gap between the wealthy and the poor. Later in the early 1900s, the 1929 stock market crash and the subsequent Great Depression of the 1930s highlighted the disparities in wealth and income even more. High unemployment rates, widespread poverty, and social unrest prompted government intervention through programs such as Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal, which aimed to provide relief, recovery, and reform through policies such as Social Security and labor protections. Just a little later, after World War II, the U.S. saw a period of economic growth and prosperity along with efforts to reduce inequality through progressive taxation, social welfare programs, and the expansion of education and healthcare. This era, often referred to as the Golden Age of capitalism, saw a narrowing of the wealth gap in some regions. In the late 20th century, there was a shift towards neoliberal economic policies characterized by deregulation, privatization, and globalization. While these policies contributed to economic growth and increased global trade, they also led to rising income inequality, and wealth became increasingly concentrated among the top earners and corporations. The rise of financialization also contributed to the widening of wealth disparities. The 2008 financial crisis exposed the risk of unchecked financial speculation and highlighted the disproportionate impact of economic downturns on lower-income individuals and communities. Tax policies such as cuts to top income tax rates and reductions in corporate taxes have further exacerbated wealth inequality by favoring the wealthy and corporations. Additionally, changes in labor markets such as the decline of unionization and the rise of precarious employment have contributed to the stagnant wages and increased income disparities. Nowadays, as our technologies advance, although they have led to productivity gains and economic growth, they have also contributed to job displacement and increased demand for highly skilled workers, widening the wage gap between skilled and unskilled labor. According to the Economic Policy Institute, the top 1% of earners captured 60% of all income growth from 1979 to 2017, while the bottom 90% saw their real income grow by just 1.4% over the same period. Moreover, the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances in 2019 found that the top 1% of American households held about 30% of all household wealth, while the bottom 50% held just 1.9%.
Systemic racism refers to the ways in which historical and institutional practices perpetuate racial inequality, and in terms of wealth and income, systemic racism manifests in various ways, including discriminatory lending practices, unequal access to education and employment opportunities, and disparities in criminal justice outcomes. For example, redlining practices in the past segregated communities and limited access to housing and mortgages for people of color, and thereby hindering their ability to accumulate wealth through homeownership. Additionally, racial biases in hiring and promotion processes can lead to lower incomes for minorities compared to their white counterparts. Gender discrimination also contributes significantly to the wealth gap and income inequality. For example, women on average earn less than men for the same work across many industries, and this is often referred to as the gender pay gap. Moreover, women are more likely to be employed in lower paying sectors and face challenges in career advancement due to factors such as caregiving responsibilities and biases in hiring and promotion. Now let's move on to the technological advancements. Technological advancements have transformed the economy and leading to the automation of many jobs and the emergence of new industries. And while technology has the potential to increase productivity and create wealth, it also contributes to income inequality by displacing workers, particularly those in low-skilled or routine jobs, and workers who lack the skills or education to adapt to technological advances may face unemployment or lower wages. Moreover, it also enabled the rise of the gig economy, characterized by temporary and precarious work arrangements that offer little job security or benefits, further widening the gap between high-income earners and those with unstable or low-paying jobs. Economic policies can also wield significant influence over wealth distribution, taxation systems, social welfare initiatives, and labor market dynamics within societies. And progressive taxation involves taxing higher incomes or wealth at higher rates than lower incomes. And this policy aims to redistribute wealth by collecting more revenue from those who can afford it most. It can help reduce income inequality by funding social welfare programs and public services that benefit lower income individuals and families. However, the effectiveness of progressive taxation depends on the tax rates and loopholes in the tax code that may allow wealthy individuals to minimize their tax burden through deductions and exemptions. Social welfare programs such as unemployment benefits, food assistance, healthcare subsidies, and housing assistance aims to provide a safety net for individuals and families facing financial hardship. These programs can also reduce poverty and improve wealth distribution by providing essential support to those in need. However, the designs and implementation of social welfare programs can vary widely, impacting their effectiveness and efficiency. Criticisms of social welfare programs include concerns about dependency, disincentives to work, and administrative inefficiencies. Minimum wage laws can also establish the lowest hourly rates that employers can legally pay their employees, and increasing the minimum wage can lift wages for lower income workers, potentially reducing income inequality. However, critics argue that raising the minimum wage could lead to job losses, particularly in industries with thin profit margins or where labor costs represent a significant portion of expenses. Additionally, the impact of minimum wage increases on overall wealth distribution depends on factors such as inflation and the cost of living. And finally, labor market regulations such as workplace safety standards, collective bargaining rights, and anti-discrimination laws can influence income distribution by affecting wages, working conditions, and employment opportunities. And stronger labor protections can empower workers to negotiate better wages and benefits, reducing income inequality. Despite this, excessive regulations may also hinder job creation and economic growth, potentially exacerbating unemployment and income disparities.
Wealth gap and income inequality in a society also implicates it by decreasing social mobility, increasing crime rates, and heightening political polarization. High levels of wealth gap and income inequality can hinder social mobility, making it more difficult for individuals from lower income backgrounds to move up in the economic ladder. Limited access to quality education, healthcare, and employment opportunities perpetuate intergenerational cycles of poverty, further widening the gap between the rich and poor. Limited economic opportunities and social exclusion can also drive individuals toward criminal activities as a means of survival or to express frustration with perceived injustices. Moreover, the unequal distribution of wealth can erode trust in institutions and exacerbate social tensions, further fueling criminal behavior. Wealth gap and income inequality often translate into unequal political influence and power as well, as the wealthy hold greater resources to shape political agendas and policies in their favor. This concentration of political power can lead to a disconnect between the interests of the affluent and those of the broader population.
Education, skill building, and workforce development play a pivotal role in narrowing the wealth gap and fostering economic opportunity. By empowering individuals with the knowledge, abilities, and credentials needed to succeed in the modern economy, these factors serve as catalysts for upward mobility and income inequality. Here's how they contribute. So, access to quality education is often regarded as the cornerstone of economic advancement, and by equipping individuals with essential literacy, numeracy, and critical thinking skills, education lays the groundwork for future success in the workforce. Moreover, higher levels of education are associated with higher earning potential and greater job security. Policies aimed at expanding access to education, particularly for marginalized communities and disadvantaged individuals, can help the playing field and narrow the wealth gap. In today's rapidly evolving economy, certain skills are in high demand across various industries. Skill building initiatives such as vocational training, technical education, and apprenticeship programs provide individuals with the practical competencies and specialized knowledge needed to thrive in these sectors. And by aligning skill development efforts with emerging job opportunities, policymakers can ensure that workers are equipped to compete in the labor market and command higher wages. Additionally, investing in digital literacy and technology training can help bridge the digital divide and empower individuals to leverage digital tools for economic advancement. Workforce development programs aim to enhance the employability of workers through targeted interventions such as job training, career counseling, and job placement services. These programs are particularly beneficial for individuals facing barriers to employment, such as lack of experience, education, or relevant skills. And by providing tailored support and guidance, workforce development initiatives help individuals overcome obstacles to entering or re-entering the workforce, thereby expanding their economic opportunities and reducing reliance on social assistance programs. The responsibilities of corporations and the role of business ethics in addressing wealth inequality are also increasingly recognized as critical factors in promoting economic fairness and social justice. And here's just a closer look at how corporations can contribute to narrowing the wealth gap through ethical business practices.
Future trends in wealth distribution and income inequality are influenced by various factors, including technological advancements, globalization, and demographic shifts. Automation and technological advancements such as artificial intelligence and robotics are expected to have significant implications for the labor market, potentially intensifying income inequality by displacing routine or low-skilled jobs and widening the gap between high-skilled and low-skilled workers. Similarly, globalization can contribute to income inequality by benefiting capital owners and skilled workers while displacing workers in sectors facing competition from lower-wage countries. Demographic shifts such as aging populations and changing workforce dynamics also play a role in shaping wealth distribution, with aging populations leading to increased demand for social services and potential strains on government budgets, worsening wealth disparities. Moreover, government policies and interventions, including taxation, social welfare, education, and more market regulation, are crucial in mitigating or exacerbating existing disparities, highlighting the importance of proactive policy responses to promote inclusive growth and reduce wealth inequality. Individuals can contribute to reducing wealth gap and income inequality in their lives and communities by supporting ethical and local businesses that prioritize fair wages and sustainability practices, advocating for fair policies such as progressive taxation and living wage ordinances, and investing in education and skills development to empower themselves and others. Volunteering time and resources to support social service organizations, promoting financial literacy, advocating for workplace equity, and engaging in constructive dialogue about wealth gap and income inequality are also impactful actions. By taking these steps and working collectively with others, individuals can play a meaningful role in creating a more just and equitable society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Advocacy and activism also play a crucial role in pushing for systemic change and creating a more equitable society by amplifying marginalized voices, raising awareness and social injustices, and mobilizing collective action to address systemic barriers. Through advocacy efforts, individuals and communities can challenge entrenched power dynamics, advocate for policy reforms, and hold institutions and decision-makers accountable for their actions. By organizing protests, rallies, and grassroots campaigns, activists can pressure government and corporations to enact meaningful change and address such issues such as wealth gap and income inequality, systemic racism, gender discrimination, and environmental injustice. Moreover, advocacy and activism foster solidarity and community building, empowering individuals to become agents of change and work towards building a more just and inclusive society where everyone's right and dignity are respected.
Throughout the podcast, we've explored a multitude of factors contributing to the wealth gap and income inequality, ranging from systemic injustices like racism and gender discrimination to economic policies and corporate practices. We've delved into the intricate interplay of globalization, technological advancements, and labor market dynamics, recognizing their profound impacts on economic disparities. So, in conclusion, the wealth gap and income inequality are complex and very multifaceted that require comprehensive and sustained efforts to address. By reflecting on the insights gained from this podcast, on this episode, and committing to continued dialogue and action, we can work towards building a more equitable and inclusive society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.